Hello, everyone out there in YouTube world, social media world, the world. Welcome to another episode of Musings with MGL. I usually put the word Facebook in there. Welcome to YouTube, Facebook world, social media world. But so many people are leaving Facebook these days because of all the crap and nonsense they're doing. That there's so many other sites out there, Gab, MeWe, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want to exclude anybody anymore. So I'm just going to start with YouTube because it's always going to be on YouTube for now, and then I'll put in social media world after that. Well, welcome to another edition. Today's topic is going to be the topic that's on everybody's mind today. As predictable as always, we have another unfortunate atrocity, another mass shooting, and immediately you have calls for good old-fashioned gun control. Because once again, it's always, let's not wait for the facts. Let's not wait to see what happened here. Let's go ahead and just jump to conclusions. Never let a tragedy go to waste. And we're going to jump right to gun control. So the first thing I want to talk about is that word tragedy. This is going to be a little bit of a side tangent, but I hate it when people use the word tragedy in situations like this, okay? To me, a tragedy is an unavoidable kind of accident thing, okay? A plane crashes, that's a tragedy. A plane gets taken over by terrorists and they crash it into a building or kill everybody on board. That's not a tragedy. That's an atrocity, okay? That's something that somebody purposely did to murder somebody, all right? A DUI accident, in my mind, is not a tragedy. That's an atrocity because the person is guilty of the DUI and did it. If somebody just loses control in their car or runs a red light, didn't see what happened or whatever, that's a tragedy because it's an accident, right? The house burns down because there's an electrical fire. People die. That's a tragedy. Somebody arsons the house, burns it down, murders people inside. That's an atrocity, okay? So this is not a tragedy. So you're going to hear people always use that word, oh, it's another tragedy. It's another tragedy. It's not a tragedy. It's an atrocity because somebody consciously committed an evil act and murdered a whole bunch of people. So that's a side note. Let's stop using that word and mixing the two things and start using the appropriate language. The second issue is, of course, this is an excuse, as it's always an excuse for people to try and enact draconian, unconstitutional gun laws, okay? Let's not wait for the facts. Let's not see what happened here. Let's automatically blame all the other gun owners who had absolutely nothing to do with what happened today, lump them in with this nut job, and decide that we're going to take their firearms because of what this guy did, okay? My firearms didn't have anything to do with this shooting, right? So if you're going to pass a law that says I can't either own or purchase, let's say, an AR-15, because they're going to use the word assault rifle again, which I'm not going to use here. But when you pass a law that says MGL, can't purchase an AR-15, or I can't keep the ones that I have because of what this guy did, that is always going to be wrong, okay? It's always going to be wrong. When you punish innocent people because of the behavior of a criminal, that's wrong, whether it's firearms or any other thing out there, okay? It's wrong. And so you're going to see all these calls, as you always see when these things happen, and they're usually, they're going to be ineffective. Assault weapons bans are ineffective. I did that in the last video that I did about assault weapons bans. Right in the middle of the last assault weapons ban, you had the Columbine shooting, which was right in the middle of it. So obviously those things aren't effective. If you want to ban assault rifles to prevent these kind of, quote, mass shootings, everybody knows that one of the most, if not the most horrific mass shooting in the country was committed by at Virginia Tech, and it was committed using handguns only, okay? And coincidentally, it was committed by an Asian guy, and he killed mostly white people, because a lot of this is starting to now get mixed in with not just firearm situations, but this narrative about white supremacy and alt-right people and the rise and like the single white male shooter or whatever. It's always important to remember that you can't do those kind of things. You can't do those kind of profiles like that, We weren't allowed to profile during all the terrorism stuff after 9/11 because you can't lump them all into a group, but they're trying to do the same thing now. The people on the left and the gun grabbers are trying to do the same thing now with us that they chided people for trying to do after 9/11. You can't blame all Muslims. Well, you can't blame all white people. You can't blame all males. You can't blame all gun owners. But if you go out there and you look at what's going on in the news today, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing this concept of the news media talking about this radicalization of a right wing of the young white males. That's what they all have in common. They leave out other things that they have in common, such as mental health illness or drug addiction or a broken home, no parents or whatever. There's all kinds of other things that they leave out, but they don't leave out, but they want to lump in all the other stuff as a white person. So you're going to see it, so once again, but the statistics bore this out every year. You can look them up over and over again from everywhere, from NRA sites to the FBI database, and you'll see that rifles or, quote, assault weapons, etc., are used in like 0.001% of the shootings every year. The vast majority of homicides are committed with gang violence and with firearms. And gang violence lots of times is not included in mass shootings. In other words, when you look at what the media wants to do, their narrative of a mass shooting is they want to specifically make it this pigeonhole. They want to say it's a lone person, it's a white guy, and he uses, a scary rifle. That is their only definition of mass shooting. But when you look at other shootings that kill more than one or two or three people, which I would call a mass shooting, a vast majority of them are gang-style shootings. They take place in the inner cities, and they're gang-related. And they don't just kill the gang members. Those stray bullets fly off and hit the little kid on their way to school, or the mom who's just sleeping on her couch. Those are mass shootings, but those aren't the mass shootings they want to talk about because they don't fit the narrative. So they're only going to want to talk about this small little sliver of mass shootings, which are perpetrated by, alt-right white males, without looking at the history, which shows that the one of the most atrocious, if not the most atrocious, mass shooting was committed by an Asian guy with handguns, not a white male with a rifle. Now, most of the shootings in the country are done with handguns, and most of them are related to gang violence or are in big cities like Chicago and aren't these isolated incidents. These get all the headlines, obviously, because they have all the splashy stuff, lots of people getting murdered at once, et cetera, et cetera. So once again, this is what the media likes to focus on. And as we all know, the gun grabbers on the left, they're never going to let an atrocity go to waste. No, I'm not going to use the word tragedy, but they're never going to let the atrocity go to waste. So you're going to see now all of a sudden, once again, this push for gun control. You're going to see it all over the place. They already had gun laws or gun legislation passing through Congress, and now they're going to even have more of a push to it. You're going to see these legislations probably get more aggressive than what they already are. You're going to see the media push. You're just going to see this narrative roll out again like clockwork whenever one of these things happens, and thankfully it's been several years. I don't know if that was the disease that shall not be named that caused the lowdown in that, or Donald Trump, or just whatever was going on in society. But we haven't had one of these shootings in a while, and now all of a sudden you see the two of them in a week or so. You had the one in Atlanta, and then now you got this one. So it's one of those weird situations where it's popped up again and again. And once it pops up like clockwork, rather than waiting for the facts or trying to logically look at a situation, they're just going to jump right to gun control. So here we go again. You can set your clocks by it. So stay vigilant as always. Don't fall into the narrative. Don't let them intimidate you into trying to give up your firearms or let your congressman do crazy stuff. This is just what they're going to do. Brace yourselves for it, because here it comes. So thanks for watching as always. Click the bell. Please subscribe if you can. Click the bell. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay open if you can. Stay vigilant, obviously, with what's going on. And as always, carry on.